Hello everyone. So I'm going to do my 5-star predictions video so I had a big reading plan thing last time and I made a spreadsheet of books I was very likely to read, books that you could bank that I would read, books that I had medium likelihood and books that I had low likelihood. And I was trying to not lie. And I actually followed it reasonably closely, but what ended up happening is I just read almost everything in the high likelihood and then almost nothing in the medium or low likelihood. Oh, yes, hi, yeah, you're right. I didn't read enough of the medium likelihood stuff. That's a totally legitimate criticism, and you're right for criticizing me for it. I agree. And then I also did the 5-star predictions, and that's like the thing that I actually keep track of that I do at the start of the year. And the 5-star predictions had a lot more success in 2024 than they did in 2023, largely because in 2023, when I say 5-star predictions, I'm trying to predict books that I will give 9.5 out of 10 or higher. And in 2023, I gave 0 books 9.5 out of 10 or higher, making the 5-star predictions moderately problematic. But this year, I gave multiple books 5 stars or higher, and I did pretty well on my 5-star predictions. My 5-star predictions, let's start with one of them I didn't read. I didn't read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, so it was wrong. I read Stories of Your Life and Others, but it did not get 5 stars, and it wasn't super close. It was good, but it wasn't super close to one like my favorite books ever. Price of Spring was a 5-star prediction. I really like Price of Spring. It's actually not my favorite book in the Long Price Quartet, and I don't think it got even like the lesser standard of 9 out of 10, but it's still a very good book. But then the last 3 is I had Mirror Dance by Lois McMaster Bujold, which I gave 9.5 out of 10. Success. Wind and Truth, which was a gimme, and Perhaps the Stars by Ada Palmer, which I gave 9.5 out of 10. Now, technically, there are some I could have gotten, but I don't think it was plausible for me to suspect Memory and Dream or A Monster Calls as 5-star predictions. Those came kind of out of nowhere. I guess Seven Surrenders and Memory would have also been right, but it feels like cheating to pick multiple from the same author. So, I'm going to try and pick for next year, and some of the 5-star predictions are kind of like, I only had to get really creative with 2 of them. So, I'm kind of trying to limit myself to 1 per author. The most obvious 5-star prediction is Written on the Dark by Guy Gavriel Kay. I mean, this is overwhelmingly more likely to be 5 stars than everything else in all likelihood, because Guy Gavriel Kay is like my second favorite author, and it's a new release. This is like, if I had this now, I would be reading it today, and I would drop everything else. There's a couple more books. Let's just new releases out of the way. So that's 5-star prediction number 1 that I would, like, it's not a lock by any means. It might not even have a better than 50% chance. Like, I haven't given more than 50% of Guy Gavriel Kay's books 5 stars by any margin. Like, it's not even close. I think the only ones that would qualify would be Lines of Our Song, Brightness Long Ago, and Lord of Emperors. But I don't give most books 9.5 out of 10, because on Goodreads I have English descriptions of all the like ratings out of 10, and 9.5 out of 10 is among my favorite books of all time, which, like, if a lot of books are among your favorite books of all time, that kind of defeats the point. Anyway, the next one is going to be 12 Months by Jim Butcher. Dresden. Very similar of the last, 8 Dresden books. All of them have been knocking on the door of 5 stars. Only Battleground and Changes would have actually hit the marker where I'm like, I succeeded. But, I still think, I feel reasonably good about myself if I do this. And then it's like, this book was excellent, but not quite a full 5 stars. Yeah. And then the last new release is going to be Shadows Upon Time by Christopher Rocchio, which is the finale of The Sun Eater. I have given 1 of the 6 Sun Eater books 5 stars, but 2 of the others were quite close, and another 2 I still really, really, really like, and then even Empire of Silence I think is quite good. So it's just a pretty safe pick. I tend to like final books in series. Usually I like the final book more than the average book, so it's a reasonably safe bet, and so that's what I'm going for my last new release pick. So the first book that isn't a new release that I'm going to pick is going to be Blackwater by Michael McDowell. This is the main people I have heard read this book are a couple people on Discord, Dylan and Oliver, and then Mike really loved it, and a few other people really loved it. I keep waiting for someone to not like it, so then I don't feel like the pressure to not be like if I'm the first one who gives it 3 stars. But yeah, it's supposed to have incredible character work, and it seems like the type of book that people have a reaction to, where it's not like, oh yeah, this is just like normal, really good. This is like, could be one of the best things I've ever read. I don't own it physically, so I can't hold it up, but that's going to be the new author, slightly bold 5-star pick, because obviously I've never read anything by the author. So this is the one with the highest chance where I could just like hate it, which would be kind of unfortunate. I think it's pretty unlikely. There's not very many books that Dylan, Mike, and Oliver all love that I hate, and by not very many, I do mean literally none that I can think of. Yeah, I can't think of a single book where it's like those 3. Like, usually there's some people who I reasonably align with, and like if multiple of them are all hyper enthusiastic about something, it's a pretty safe bet that I'm just gonna think it's good. So that's prediction number 4. So this 5th pick was a lot more difficult. Few routes I considered going down. I considered just going with The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. That's probably one of the books with the highest expected scores, just because I really like Joe Abercrombie. But Joe Abercrombie just has a degree of cynicism that lowers the ceiling of how much I love his books. Because I'm by nature, I think, more optimistic. I've discussed style-wise when I read his books, it just makes me feel bad about humanity. They're very compelling. They're very well written. But they just make me feel bad about humanity and bum me out. And also, I like, just in terms of style, not as a like objectively good or bad thing, but I noticed in my last, like when I was rereading The Blade itself, I was like, nothing is ever described as beautiful. Asterisk, there's one exception. But whenever like if they go like outside by a lake, and most authors would describe it and be like, oh wow, what a very picturesque like place, it'll just be like, it's a drab, miserable day, and anything that you would normally think of as like aesthetically beautiful is always like flipped and described ironically, and it's just like there's just stuff like that add up that bums me out. So I think it's unlikely Joe Abercrombie will hit 5 stars, but I'll probably really like The Devils. So I did consider going down that route. I also considered just picking like a Vorkoskin book. I think a lot of people really like A Civil Campaign, and I'll probably read more Vorkoskin books, so why not? I considered going with an Adrian Tchaikovsky book. I've read Children of Time is the only Adrian Tchaikovsky book I've read, and I really, really liked it. So, I could go with Ogres. Or some other Adrian Tchaikovsky book. I could go with the New Black Company book. I'm a little scared of the New Black Company book, though, so I'm a little nervous to do that. And I think there are even more new releases that I'm just forgetting about. But I didn't do any of those things. Instead, what I did is I was like, well, surely I'm going to read more Charles DeLint. And I also could go with Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell again. But I just went with Charles DeLint, and I was like, well, I love Memory and Dream. I'm probably going to read more of the Newford books. And I just picked the Newford book with the highest average Goodreads rating that I'll likely read this year. So my 5-star prediction, a book I know nothing about, is Some Place to Be Flying by Charles DeLint. Fifth Fath, can you tell me did I pick well? I know nothing about this book, man. You could be here and be like, nah, that book sucks, and you're gonna hate it, and I'm just gonna be like, well, that's tough, because then I guess my prediction will be wrong. But yeah, those are my 5-star predictions. Let me know if you have read any of them, or if you've read. It'd be very surprising if someone has read all. Well, no, you literally can't have read all of them. 3 of them are new releases, and it feels like Blackwater and Some Place to Be Flying is a pretty common combination of books to be read. Let me know if you've read any of them. If anyone here has read both Blackwater and Some Place to Be Flying by Charles DeLint, let me know. I'm going to guess, because not that many people are going to watch this video, I'm going to guess it's likely that literally 0 people watching this video have read both of those books. So tell me if I'm wrong. Was there any book that you're like, wait a second, you told me you were going to read this, and this should have been considered for 5-star prediction, and maybe I'll be like, crap, I was going to read that, and I forgot about it. Do we know when The Red God by Pierce Brown is coming out? Because when it is, I'm going to read up to Lightbringer. And I would have considered, like, the second one. I would have considered Lightbringer. Anyway, have a good day, everyone.